Have you ever told the truth and felt the world turn against you? You spoke with sincerity, you exposed your real thoughts. And instead of respect, you got silence, suspicion, maybe even punishment. This is not a coincidence. It's a warning. In a world built on perception, honesty is not a virtue, it's a weapon. And if you don't know how to wield it, it cuts you. We've been raised with the idea that honesty is always the best policy. But that's a moral fairy tale, told by people who benefit from your naivety. The man who always tells the truth becomes predictable. And in the game of power, predictability is death. The honest man, naked in a room full of predators. Imagine you're in a jungle. You're the only one walking without camouflage, announcing your position to everyone. You're not virtuous. You're exposed. This is what happens when you always speak your mind, especially in workplaces, relationships, or politics. You're broadcasting your weaknesses, your doubts, your limits, and people are watching, not to help you, to use it against you. Truth in the hands of amateurs. An uncomfortable truth. Most people don't want your honesty. They want comfort, or leverage, or both. When you tell the truth to the wrong person, you're not being noble. You're being strategically stupid. Truth is not sacred. It's situational. It only serves you if it serves your goals. And that's the difference between a moralist and a strategist. The ideal of authenticity. A weaponized lie society today worships authenticity. Be yourself. Say what you feel. Live your truth. But here's the catch. No one actually wants to deal with your truth, unless it benefits them. Authenticity is only praised when it entertains, aligns, or submits. The moment your truth threatens the herd, they crush you. So ask yourself, are you being authentic? Or are you being manipulated into vulnerability? The political lesson: power is never honest. In politics, no one tells the full truth, because the full truth is chaos. Even good leaders lie, not because they are evil, but because truth without timing is suicide. Honesty in politics is always partial, timed, and calculated. If it works in power, why wouldn't it work in your life? What you must learn: there are only two kinds of truth. The truth you control, the truth that controls you. Only one gives you power. You think being honest earns you trust. But in the real world, honesty doesn't build alliances, it builds leverage for others. Let's get brutally clear. Every time you expose your true thoughts, you hand out ammunition. People file it, remember it, use it when it benefits them. You think you're connecting, they're calculating. Confession is not connection. Modern culture tells men, speak your truth, be vulnerable, open up. They sell this as courage, but in strategic environments, it's often suicide. Why? Because most people aren't looking for your truth, they're scanning for weakness. When you confess your fears, frustrations, or failures, you might feel relieved. But someone else just took note of exactly how to break you. Relationships, where truth becomes a trap. Let's talk about intimacy. They say honesty is the foundation of trust. But try telling your partner everything, your darkest doubts, your frustrations with them, your real desires, and watch what happens. Does it bring you closer? Or does it create emotional debt, judgment, and quiet resentment? Truth isn't sacred in relationships. It's a currency, and most don't know how to spend it wisely. Reveal too much too soon and you're not being authentic. You're being unarmed in a gunfight. Corporate environments, honesty as a liability. In business, honesty is not just dangerous, it's often fatal. Tell your boss you're burned out. Tell your colleague you hate your current task. Tell HR how you really feel. Now you're flagged, branded, marginalized. Because in companies, like in courts or courts of kings, words are weapons, and the man who speaks freely is the easiest one to frame. The psychological game. Here's the Machiavellian truth. Most people aren't listening to understand. They're listening to classify, to fit you in a box, to know where you stand, to judge your strength or your use. So when you give too much truth, you aren't being transparent. you're handing over your playbook, and once they have it, they can always stay one move ahead. Why the smart don't speak. Watch how the powerful operate. They rarely tell you exactly what they think. They smile. They nod. They speak in controlled doses. They might say something honest, but never everything, never raw, never without purpose, because they know the man who controls what he reveals controls how he is perceived, and perception is power. Summary: every truth costs something. Before you speak the truth, ask yourself, who profits from this truth? Who is in the room? What could it cost me? Because the truth doesn't set you free. It sets you on fire if you're not ready for the consequences. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This is the law of survival in any power structure. Not to be honest, but to seem honest, because perception shapes trust, and trust opens doors. Now here's the twist. The illusion of honesty is more powerful than honesty itself. The strategic value of seeming virtuous people don't want truth. They want reassurance. They want to believe you're stable, safe, consistent. So you create that appearance. You project calm, transparency, authenticity. But behind the mask, you hold the full picture, the strategy, the dark side, the truths that are dangerous to share. This is not hypocrisy. This is politics. Why appearing honest builds control. There's a paradox. The man who is always honest is feared. The man who appears honest is trusted. When you project honesty without full exposure, people lower their defenses. They talk more, trust more, give more. Why? Because they think you're not playing a game. They think you're one of the good ones. That illusion gives you access. And once you have access, you have power. Historical proof. The mask of integrity. Think of some of history's most strategic leaders. FDR smiled while maneuvering nations. Obama projected calm clarity while executing ruthless drone programs. Even Caesar cried at Pompey's death before executing his war plan. These men weren't authentic. They were architects of image. They understood what Machiavelli taught. The appearance of virtue is more politically useful than virtue itself. The corporate mask, clean hands, dirty play. In business, the most effective leaders wear the mask of honesty. They speak in polished tones. They reference transparency, values, and collaboration. But behind closed doors, it's war. Loyalty is bought. Mistakes are covered. Enemies are pushed out silently. Yet they keep rising. Why? Because they seem like men of integrity. And in systems run by perception, that's all that matters. Tactical application. How to use this. You want to be respected? Start here. Never show all your truth. Let others believe you're an open book. Control the story they tell about you. Speak honestly in small doses but strategically. Confess flaws that aren't threats. Appear vulnerable where it costs nothing. Build the illusion of trustworthiness. And keep your true mind locked behind a wall no one touches. Final rule. Reality is irrelevant without perception. You can be good and still lose. You can be honest and still destroyed. Because the world doesn't reward what you are. It rewards what you seem to be. What happens when a man commits fully to being good? He becomes reliable, predictable, and eventually, dispensable. Here's the brutal truth. In a world that runs on games, principles are often dead weight. Not because morality is wrong, but because those who play without rules dominate those who insist on following them. The lie of the good man wins narrative. Since childhood, you're told, be honest, be fair, do the right thing, and success will come. And for a while, it feels noble, until you're passed over for promotions, used in relationships, betrayed by those you trusted. Why? Because virtue without power is a performance, and in the real world, it gets you applause, not authority. Morality is a currency, not a compass. There's a difference between having values and being governed by them. The man who uses morality strategically earns trust, reputation, and control. The man who is enslaved by morality gets trapped in dilemmas others designed for him. When you're always asking, is this right? You forget to ask, is this effective? And in the realm of power, effectiveness beats righteousness. Always. Machiavelli's warning. Morality is for appearances, not decisions. A prince must learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge or not as necessity requires. This is not a call to evil. It's a call to freedom, to act outside the cage of artificial virtue when the situation demands it. A man who cannot abandon goodness when survival is at stake is not moral. He's suicidal. The illusion of moral high ground. Ever seen a colleague take credit for your work and get promoted? Or watched someone manipulate others through victimhood and come out looking like a hero? They're not winning because they're better. They're winning because they understand the optics of virtue, while you're still obsessed with the purity of it. In modern warfare, whether corporate, social, or romantic, moral high ground is just another hill to be captured. The strategic alternative, controlled morality. You don't abandon your values. You weaponize them. Appear just. Speak like a man of honor, but never let those principles override your judgment. Use morality to bind others, but remain free from its chains yourself. When being too good becomes your coffin, people will admire your honesty. They'll praise your loyalty. They'll applaud your decency. And once you're out of the way, they'll forget your name. Because power respects only one thing: results. History doesn't reward truth-tellers, it kills them. Time and time again, those who dared to speak openly, with pure intentions, were crushed by the very systems they tried to enlighten. Because truth, when not aligned with power, becomes a threat, and threats are eliminated. Case 1. Socrates, killed by the state. He tried to awaken, he questioned, he exposed hypocrisy, he believed truth would elevate the soul. Athens disagreed. They charged him with corrupting youth and impiety. But his real crime? Telling too much truth to the wrong people. Socrates didn't die because he was wrong. He died because he was too right, too openly. Case 2. Jesus, crucified for disrupting authority beyond religion. See the political dimension. He challenged existing power, exposed corruption, drew crowds. He told truths that weakened the legitimacy of Rome and the priests. They didn't argue. They crucified. Moral lesson? No. Strategic warning. Case 3. Whistleblowers, modern martyrs for honesty. Edward Snowden exposed mass surveillance. Julian Assange revealed the secrets of empires. And what happened? Exile, prison, isolation. They believed in transparency. The world believed in control. They became enemies of the state, not for lying, but for revealing the truth too clearly. Why this happens? Because truth is not neutral. It redistributes power. It disturbs comfort. It threatens hierarchy. And when systems feel threatened, they don't debate. They destroy. Even democracies, and especially democracies, crush inconvenient truths behind smiles and PR campaigns. The naive belief, truth will save you. That's what every idealist thinks. If I just tell the truth, people will see the light. No, people don't want light, they want stability. They don't want to be woken up. They want to sleep in peace. And if you disrupt that peace, you're the villain, no matter how right you are. The Machiavellian view. It is necessary to be a great liar and hypocrite. Men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. The wise man does not reveal the whole truth. He observes, he filters, he calculates. Because history is not kind to the man who tells the truth. It rewards the one who controls it. Strategic takeaway. Before exposing truth, ask, who benefits, who loses, who has power to retaliate? If you don't control the answers, you don't control the consequences. What if I told you that lying isn't necessary to deceive? You can stay technically honest and still manipulate everything. Welcome to the art of selective truth. The most powerful men don't lie outright. They reveal only what benefits them, and they let others fill in the rest. It's not about what you say, it's about what you don't. The illusion of transparency. Transparency is a myth. No one reveals everything, not even the saints. In power, full honesty isn't just rare, it's stupid. You don't tell your enemy where the troops are. You don't tell your rival your next move. So why tell your boss, your partner, your peers, your every fear, doubt, and secret? That's not authenticity. That's surrender. Strategic silence is a weapon. Here's the rule. Silence is never neutral. It's active. When you say nothing, people project. They imagine, they guess. And in that guessing, they expose themselves. The one who speaks less learns more. The man who can sit in silence without breaking owns the room. The manipulator's favorite tool. Half the truth. Give a piece. Hold the rest. Tell them enough to seem trustworthy, but never enough to give them leverage. This is how empires negotiate. This is how CEOs survive scandals. This is how Machiavellian men control perception without ever technically lying. Real-world example: the corporate strategist. In a performance review, he admits a minor mistake. Something harmless, looks honest, humble, but hides the real issue that could cost him position or reputation. Outcome? He gets praised for accountability, while the truth remains locked in his hands. That's mastery. Relationships. Truth as a filter, not a flood. In personal life, revealing everything is often a way of seeking validation. But validation is weakness. Instead, share only what tests loyalty. Share only what strengthens the bond. And always keep a part of yourself unguessable. Mystery breeds respect. Exposure breeds control by others. The balance. Appear honest, stay in control. You don't need to be fake, you just need to be selective. This is not lying, it's leadership. Because when you control your story, you control your fate. Machiavelli's shadow principle. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The fool blurts, the wise man waits. The truth, when timed and measured, becomes a strategic asset. Let's get this straight. Every system that claims to value truth is built to reward deception. Corporations, governments, universities, even social groups. They promote ideals, but function on optics. They claim to love truth, but punish those who expose it. Why? Because truth threatens order, and order protects power. The corporate lie. Speak freely. They tell you to be transparent. Give feedback. Be authentic. We value honesty. Then you speak your mind, and you're labeled difficult, negative, non-aligned, because what they really want is agreement disguised as honesty. The moment your truth threatens a superior's position or a company narrative, you become a liability. So who gets promoted? Not the honest man, the one who plays the role convincingly, who tells half-truths, signals loyalty, and smiles at decisions he disagrees with behind closed doors. Academia, the empire of hypocrisy. In universities where free thought is sacred, the truth is censored by ideology and fear of reputational suicide. Try publishing uncomfortable truths. Try challenging sacred dogmas. You'll be discredited, silenced, or worse, ignored into oblivion. Truth here isn't a value. It's a commodity, filtered through political acceptability. Social media, performance over reality. Online, honesty is fatal unless it's curated. Show your highlight reel, you're loved. Show your full, unfiltered self, you're ridiculed. And if you expose powerful lies, shadow banned, canceled, silenced. The internet rewards those who play a character, not those who challenge the script. Politics. Lies that lead you already know. Politicians don't win by being honest. They win by being believable. Two completely different things. The one who controls the narrative, the imagery, the illusion, leads. Even if his entire platform is a mask. Because people don't vote for truth. They vote for comfort, fear, hope, all illusions sold as truth. Why systems reward the mask? Here's the Machiavellian truth. Every structure needs predictability, and raw truth is unpredictable. So systems reward those who maintain the appearance of stability, even if it means lying, pretending, or hiding problems. The man who keeps the peace, wears the right face, and never rocks the boat, rises. The man who dares to pull the curtain, he's cast out. Strategic lesson: never mistake ideals for incentives. What they preach is not what they reward. Study the real incentive structure, not the values on the wall. Because every environment punishes truth that doesn't serve its survival. And only those who understand this rule can play the game without being devoured. Here's the twist. Truth isn't the enemy. Stupidity in handling it is. Truth is like a blade. Revealed at the wrong time, it wounds you. Revealed at the right time, it cuts down your enemies. The difference? Timing, context, intent. Stop treating truth as a moral duty. You don't owe people the truth. You owe yourself survival and leverage. Before revealing anything real, always ask, does this strengthen my position? Does this build loyalty or dependency? Does this shift perception in my favor? If not, shut your mouth. Because speaking without advantage is not honesty. It's strategic suicide. 3 scenarios where truth is a weapon. 1. When it builds trust, on your terms. Revealing a controlled truth can soften a barrier, forge loyalty, or gain sympathy, all while costing you nothing. 2. When it exposes an enemy, and you're protected. If you hold the right position or backing, you can drop truth bombs that destroy rivals and elevate your status. 3. When it shifts public perception. In moments of crisis, revealing a well-framed truth can make you look brave, principled, or transparent, even if it's just calculated damage control. Truth in negotiation. Use it to corner, not to confess. In any negotiation, the man who controls information controls direction. Reveal only what forces their hand, what limits their options, what puts you in the position of the trusted leader or the only reliable source. Never confess, always construct. Truth in relationships. Frame it, don't dump it. Want to be respected in a relationship? Stop confessing and start framing. Don't say, I've been distant because I'm overwhelmed. Say, I've been recalibrating my priorities to stay focused. Same root, different power. The truth, reframed, becomes commanding instead of submissive. Timing, the truth's hidden blade. A truth delivered too early is worthless. Delivered too late, it's suspicious. The key is to release truth when it creates maximum impact with minimum exposure. This is how leaders shape narratives, shift blame, control damage, and still walk away clean. Controlled honesty, the strategist's code. You don't lie, you tell calculated truths. Each truth is a chess move. Each word carries weight, intention, and precision. This is not being fake. This is operational leadership. Machiavelli's reminder. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. A strategist adapts. He tells the truth when it serves him, and stays silent when it doesn't. Yes, truth addiction. That compulsion to be honest even when it destroys you. To overshare, over-explain, overexpose, because you think it makes you virtuous. It doesn't. It makes you weak. And weakness invites predation. Why some men cling to brutal honesty. Let's break the psychology. They were told, be a good man. Speak your truth. Don't play games. So they adopted honesty as a moral identity. They believe telling the whole truth all the time makes them pure. But here's what really happens. They feel guilt when they hold back. They feel shame for being strategic. They feel dirty for protecting themselves. And they wonder why they keep losing. The dark side of the truthful man. He overshares in interviews and gets passed over. He admits insecurity to partners and loses respect. He tells enemies too much and becomes predictable. In his mind, he's being real. In reality, he's being used. Because the world isn't built for raw truth. It's built for appearance, control, and silence when necessary. Truth addiction is just another form of insecurity. Let's call it out. Many men cling to truth because they're afraid of playing the game, afraid of judgment, afraid of being misunderstood. So they try to control their image by being transparent. But transparency is not strength. It's fear disguised as virtue. Strategic honesty versus naive honesty. Naive honesty seeks validation, feels like duty, lacks timing, betrays position. Strategic honesty creates leverage, controls perception, is always intentional, strengthens your power. One makes you feel noble. The other makes you undeniable. Stop needing to be understood. Here's your liberation. You don't owe anyone your inner world. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to confess your every thought. You don't have to bleed truth to prove you're real. Powerful men are rarely understood, but they're always respected. Cold advice: kill the confessor inside you. You want to win? Then kill the voice that tells you, just be honest, and everything will work out. It won't. The battlefield of life punishes exposure. Only the man who knows when to reveal, how to reveal, and why to reveal, survives. Machiavelli's death sentence to naivety. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. And the man addicted to truth is always loved, until he's no longer needed. Then he's forgotten. Let's end the illusion right here. The world does not care about your truth. It doesn't care about your honesty, your vulnerability, or your transparency. It rewards what it can use, and punishes what it cannot control. The harsh reality: if your truth threatens the system, if your truth exposes power, if your truth makes others uncomfortable, you will be ignored, mocked, silenced. Not because you're wrong, but because truth without power is noise. Why control matters more than truth. Truth is not currency. Control is. He who controls perception controls resources. He who controls narrative controls people. He who controls timing controls consequences. Truth means nothing without control. The strategist's creed: you don't reveal truth to feel better. You reveal it to gain advantage, or you stay silent. You don't use truth to express yourself. You use it to reshape outcomes. You are not here to be honest. You are here to win. Stop asking to be seen. Most men want to be understood. They want someone to know the full truth of who they are. But here's the reality. The more of yourself you show, the less power you have. In politics, in business, in love, you are not rewarded for being known. You are rewarded for being effective. And the final lesson: if you want to survive in a world of masks, you must become a master of your own. You control what they see. You control what they know. You control what they think they understand about you. Because the man who reveals everything is already lost. Machiavelli's last whisper: men must either be caressed or annihilated. And if you keep telling the truth at the wrong time, you will be the one annihilated. Not because you were wrong, but because you were unguarded. Now ask yourself, have you been telling the truth or surrendering power? Have your words built influence or exposed your weakness? Are you seen as honest or used because you are? If this woke something in you, if you see how truth, power, and control are not the same thing, leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for the next lesson in strategic dominance. And answer this: do you want to be honest, or do you want to be free?